Welcome to the July 23rd, 2025 reorganization meeting of the Board of Education for Washington Township. I will lead us in the pledge, so if you are able, please stand and join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This is the only meeting that the superintendent gets to preside over the reorganize of the Board of Education. Please note that all 5 board members are present. We're going to start with the election of officers. Election of officers is the first order of business on our reorganization agenda. The floor is now open for nomination of officers. Let's begin with the president. Is there a motion to nominate a board president?
I move to nominate Christina Fry as board president.
Okay, we have a motion for board president. Do we have a second? I hear a motion and a second to nominate Christina Fry for board president. Are there any other nominations from the floor? I will close nominations and call to question all those in favor of Christina Fry being nominated as board president signify by saying aye. All opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Aye.
The motion passes 3-2. Congratulations, Ms. Fry. We look forward to your leadership. The floor is open for our second officer of vice president. Is there a motion to nominate a vice president?
Move to nominate Ms. Deidre George Davis as vice president.
Okay, we have a nomination. Do we have a second?
Second.
I hear a motion and second to nominate Ms. Deirdre George Davis as vice president. Are there any other nominations from the floor? Hearing none, I will close nominations and call to question. All those in favor of Deirdre George Davis being nominated as vice president signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. The motion passes 5-0. Congratulations, Deirdre George Davis, on your leadership role as vice president. The floor is open now for third officer, which is board secretary. Is there a motion to nominate a board secretary?
I nominate Stephen Thompson for board secretary.
I hear a motion. Do we have a second? I hear a motion and second to nominate Mr. Stephen Thompson as secretary. Are there any other nominations from the floor? Hearing none, I will close nominations and call to question. All those in favor of Stephen Thompson being nominated as board secretary signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. The motion passes 5-0. And a final congratulations to you, Mr. Thompson, and thank you for your leadership. At this time, I will pass the gavel and management of this meeting over to the newly elected president, Ms. Christina Fry.
Thank you. Superintendent Taylor. The next item on the agenda for the reorganization meeting is the appointment of the treasurer and deputy treasurer. The first part of that is the appointment of the treasurer. Members of the board, Mrs. Rebecca Smith serves Washington Township as our chief financial officer, and I recommend Mrs. Rebecca Smith to be appointed as our legal treasurer. Are there any questions? Do I hear a motion?
Move to approve appointing Ms. Rebecca Smith as treasurer for Washington Township School.
I'll second. Any further discussion? Call for the vote. All those in favor of appointing Mrs. Rebecca Smith as our legal treasurer, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Congratulations, Mrs. Smith, again. The next item on this agenda topic is the bond for the treasurer. Members of the board, our next item establishes a bond for our treasurer position in the amount of $150,000. This amount follows past practice. I recommend that you approve the establishment of this bond for the treasurer in the amount of $150,000. Are there any questions or discussion? Hearing none.
I move that we recommend the establishment of the bond to the treasurer in the amount of $150,000.
Second.
Hearing a motion and second, call for the vote. All those in favor of establishing the bond, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. The next item is appointment of deputy treasurer. Members of the board, Mrs. Phyllis, I'm sorry if I get your name wrong, Rittenor serves Washington Township as accounting manager under Mrs. Rebecca Smith's direction. And I recommend Ms. Rittenor be appointed as our legal deputy treasurer. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none.
I move that we appoint Ms. Phyllis Ridenhour as the deputy treasurer.
Second.
Hearing a motion and a second. All those in favor of this appointment, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? This right now is appointed. And the last item on this portion of the agenda is the bond for that deputy treasurer. Members of the board, I recommend that we approve a bond amount for the deputy treasurer of $150,000. Any questions or discussion? None.
I move that we approve the bond for the deputy treasurer in the amount of $150,000 based on past practice.
Second.
Having been moved and seconded, call for the vote. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes and that bond is established. The next agenda item is permission to pay in advance or approve. This permission allows us to pay specific listed items on the agenda when that pay happens to fall before or after the weeks. I do recommend permission via board approval to pay in advance cash discount statements, payroll deductions, contract claims, registration and reimbursement for conferences and workshops, and monthly utilities. Any questions or discussions on that recommendation? Hearing none.
I move that we motion that we permission to pay in advance of board approval.
Second.
All those in favor of granting that permission to pay in advance of board approval, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That permission is granted. Thank you. The next agenda item of our reorganization meeting. This agenda item requests your permission for the district to use facsimile signatures for board-approved claims, board-approved contracts, diplomas for graduating seniors, and board-approved grants and supplemental services contracts. I ask your approval to use facsimile signatures for those specified 5 areas. Any questions or discussions on that recommendation? Hearing none.
I move we approve to use the facsimile signatures for the specified 5 areas that you outlined. Second.
Hearing a motion and second, call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That request is granted and that permission is granted. Almost done with the boring part of this meeting. So everybody who's here for recognitions and more fun things, please bear with us. Board, the next item is we are requesting board approval to allow Superintendent Taylor to sign board-approved contracts as our superintendent of schools. These would be contracts that have been approved prior at open school board meetings. Questions or discussion? Hearing none.
I move that we approve to allow Superintendent Dr. Taylor to sign board-approved contracts as superintendent of schools.
Second.
Hearing a motion and second, call for the vote. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Taylor, that approval is granted. The next item on our reorganization agenda is to approve the reappointment of our school attorney, Mr. Mays. Any discussions or questions on that appointment? Hearing none, do I hear a motion?
I move that we appoint Mr. John Mays as a school attorney.
Hearing a motion and second, call for the vote. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. I am a nay. The motion passes. And finally, for our reorganization item, we're requesting approval from the board of the designation for the Indianapolis Star and the Court and Commercial Record to be the official publications to publish legal notices. Any questions or discussions? Hearing none. Do I hear a motion?
I move that we approve the designation of the Indianapolis Star and the Court and Commercial Record to be the official publications to publish our legal notices.
Second.
Hearing a motion and a second, call for the vote. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And that motion passes. That concludes the items for our annual reorganization meeting. Do I have a motion to adjourn that meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The annual reorganization meeting is thus concluded. Moving along, I now call to order the regular school board meeting of the Metropolitan School District of Washington Township. All 5 school board members are here present in person, along with our superintendent, Dr. Taylor. The first, I did want to say before we start too, it is our tradition to recite our mission statement in the first meeting of every month, but since we have an agenda item going deeply into our new strategic plan, we'll sort of focus on our mission in that this month. So our first agenda item would be our July board recognitions. Dr. Pecker.
Thank you, Board President Fry, members of the board, Dr. Taylor. So at this meeting, we want to recognize Mr. Weston Huron. You'll please come forward. North Central chemistry teacher, ICP PLC leader, and North Central's Quiz Bowl team had an impressive season. Out of 336 teams at the national level, they proudly placed 190th, with team captain Deke Candle finishing 137th overall out of 1,600 qualifying individuals, a remarkable individual achievement. This season, their team went 7-1 in the local White River Academic League, winning both the mid-season tournament and the end-of-year league playoffs. These victories earned them a spot at the State Quiz Bowl tournament held at Purdue University on March the 8th. We extend our sincere thanks to the Affinity Group and Bill Walsh for their generous support, as well as the Washington Township Advancement Center for their continued encouragement and contributions. We would also like to recognize the following: Deke Candle, please come up when I call your name, Solomon Taylor, Mary Fry, Pablo Redmond, Evelyn Kemp, Daphne Elliott. Additional team members: Finn Valentine, Lily Aids, Amy Carsamo Rodis, Isaac Raybuck, Wiley Solomino, Milo Forehand Lynch, Nathan Morgenstern, Meyer Goldsmith, and Christian Doss. We are so proud of your achievements and the dedication that you have shown this season.
Yes.
Oh, congratulations. And our final recognition this evening, congratulations to Mr. Bill Turner, School Board President, on celebrating 15 years of outstanding service on the Washington Township School Board. Let's give him a round of applause. Mr. Turner. Mr. Turner is a North Central graduate. He began his career with Washington Township and has been a committed school and community volunteer ever since. He has served as president of the North Central Athletic and Women's Soccer Booster Clubs, a parent council representative, a co-chair of the West Lane 8th grade trip, and his community leadership extends beyond the district. He served 9 years as president of the Wheeler Dow Boys and Girls Club and has supported organizations like United Way, Indiana Black Expo, and the Greater Indianapolis NAACP. Mr. Turner has been an instrumental part of the school board and the Washington Township School District, helping shape policy, strengthen community relationships, and advocate tirelessly for student success. Your leadership, dedication, and service have made a lasting impact on all of our schools and the lives of countless students and families. We are thankful. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Bill, and something else for you to pose with?
And your gavel. Oh, my God.
This time, if you were here just for recognitions, as much as we would love for you to stay and hear all of the exciting school board agenda items ahead of you, no one will be offended if you take this opportunity to go ahead and get back to the rest of your evening. With that, the next item on the agenda is superintendent's announcements.
Thank you, President-elect Fry. Good evening, Washington Township School community. Welcome to the 25-26 school year. It's hard to believe we're already here. It's been an amazing summer, a quick summer for some of us in the room. But we are excited to welcome our staff back next Tuesday. We have students coming back next Thursday. I want to remind everyone that students, we expect you back next Thursday. I know no one likes a July start date, including your superintendent, but every now and then it just so happens that way. So we are excited and we're ready. I do have some announcements to share this evening. You do have in your board docs access to our back to school events at the elementary and secondary levels. So as your schedule permits, we'd love to have you pop in and see how back to school things are going. Particularly, you have the staff support sign up document where in the past, per our tradition, we send CEC and service center staff out to our buildings on that first and second day just to make sure we have a great start and everybody knows where to go and we get everybody home and all that. So during arrival and dismissal, I know there's not very many opportunities left in that doc. So if board would like to go and help out somewhere, just give me an email and we'll get you hooked up accordingly. So we appreciate the board support as we start school here. First, per our past practice, also I've attached our biannual legal summary update of pending legal matters in the district at this time. I provided a newsletter from our National Superintendent Association speaking to some of the federal policy impact on funding, as well as the first ever federal voucher program. So I encourage you to take a look and review that when you have a chance. I also attached some recent state policy implications on funding, particularly as it relates to sharing of our operations fund with charter schools. As we know and now know that we are obligated to share a portion of those dollars with students who have legal settlement in the township who choose to go to a charter school. And so you can see just how much over the course of last year we had to distribute to charter schools there. I also wanted to provide you with a construction update. Most of that update is concentrated on Central Campus. As you know, that's our remaining project work for the most part. And I have to take an opportunity to give a big kudos to our operations team, as summer tends to be a nice break for a lot of staff. The operations team is working full force and they are doing everything they can to get our schools prepared, regardless of what hiccups they may come across with construction. It's hard to do school when you're renovating, and I just appreciate our operations leadership and all you do to make sure we're ready to go and we're putting our best foot forward for our students and staff. So let's give our operations team a little round of applause there. And then finally, I just wanted to say that we linked our board liaison assignments for the upcoming school year, and we're looking forward to supporting all of our work with parent council, community network, et cetera, as part of those board liaison assignments. And that is it for my superintendent announcements this evening.
Next item on the agenda tonight is comments from the public. Do we have members of the public here tonight wishing to address the board? on to the next agenda. Next agenda item is the approval of annual conflict of interest forms. Dr. Pettigrew.
Board President Fry, members of the board, Dr. Taylor, the board has two annual conflict of interest forms to review, and I would like to request your approval to accept them. Mr. Turner has submitted an annual conflict of interest form for continued disclosure that his spouse continues employment in Washington Township, and Mrs. Horth-Kruger has submitted an annual conflict of interest form for continued disclosure that her daughter continues employment in Washington Township. All details are on the forms in the board documents, and at this time, I would like to request approval for acceptance of these conflict of interest forms.
Board, are there any questions? Hearing none, do I hear a motion?
Move to approve the annual conflict of interest forms as presented by Dr. Pettigrew.
Any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, do I hear a I'm sorry, we already had the motion. Hearing none, I call for the vote. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 All opposed.
I'm sorry. I was going to say, I'm going to abstain.
All those opposed indicate by saying nay, and all abstentions. Mr. Turner is an abstention. Thank you. Next item is the approval of the consent agenda. Dr. Pettigrew.
Members of the school board, I recommend that you approve the consent agenda for this meeting. This consent agenda includes approval of the minutes of the June 4th, 2025 regular meeting, the memoranda of the June 16th, 2025 executive session, the July 16th, 2025 executive session, and the July 16th, 2025 work session. Approval of 4 payroll calculation summary reports, a claims docket in the amount of $42,945,333.96, a special personnel item in accordance with Indiana Code 20-26-5-11.2, an executive summary, referral bonus proposal, a human resources report containing classified personnel, 42 new hires, lines 1 through 42, 17 resignations, line 1 through 17, 3 terminations, lines 1 through 3, and 1 leave, line 1. Certified personnel, 39 new appointments for 25-26, lines 36 through 74, 9 resignations, lines 208 to 216, 5 transfers for the 25-26 year, lines 12 through 16, and 2 maternity, child rearing, or adoption, lines 5 through 6. There are no non-competitive grants, gifts, or donations to present for board approval. At this time, I request your approval of the consent agenda.
Any questions regarding the consent agenda? Hearing none, do I hear a motion?
To approve the consent agenda as presented by Dr. Pettigrew. Second.
Any further discussion? Call for the vote. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Consent agenda is approved. Thank you, Dr. Pettigrew.
With that approval, I would like to invite Dr. Whitman to the podium for special recognitions.
Thank you, Dr. Pettigrew. Good evening, board, and congratulations to our newly elected officers. In approving the consent agenda, Washington Township Schools is proud to welcome these new additions to our administrative team. We do have a few that were from last board meeting that we did not have an opportunity to present to you and introduce formally, so we're going to do that at this time as well. So let's start with Jordan Duran, who will be the assistant principal at Fox Hill. And Jordan, if you would come forward with your academic leaders, principals, anybody that's here, come forward with Dr. Taylor. Jordan Duran brings 12 years of experience in Washington Township Schools, where he began his career as a 3rd grade teacher at Greenbrier Elementary. He joined the Willow Lake team when the school opened in 2019 and has served in both general education and alternative education roles, most recently leading the alternative classroom. Jordan is known for his student-centered approach, deep commitment to inclusive learning, and strong relationships with staff, students, and families. Welcome, Assistant Principal Duran. And please pose for a picture. whole family. Congratulations again. At this time, it's my pleasure to introduce Christina Muling as interim principal at Greenbrier. Please come forward. Christina Muling steps into the role of interim principal at Greenbrier with extensive leadership experience and a strong foundation in instructional coaching. She joined MSD Washington Township last year as a district lead coach, supporting teachers and administrators across the district and working closely with the Greenbrier community. With a background as both a principal and assistant principal in Austin, Texas, Christina brings a deep understanding of effective school leadership, a passion for collaboration, and student-focused learning environments. Welcome.
Oh, sure.
Don't worry about us. Yeah. It's about her.
I will say that Assistant Principal Muling is joined, or Principal Muling is joined this evening by her mother-in-law, who is a lifelong educator, and we are open to recruiting her in Washington Township if she would like to come back. Thank you for your service. At this time, I'd like to introduce Brittany Taylor as the Assistant Principal at Northview Middle School. Brittany Taylor brings a decade of experience in Washington Township, where she has served as a teacher, department chair, and instructional leader. Most recently, she has led the math department at Northview Middle School, where she was instrumental in driving academic achievement and professional development. Recognized as a 2024 honor school teacher, Brittany is dedicated to supporting student growth, empowering educators, and creating strong, connected school communities. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Aw, more. Yay!
Oh, buddy, turn around.
Aw. Now it is my pleasure to introduce Cheyenne Richardson as Dean at North Central High School. Cheyenne Richardson brings more than 10 years of experience in education, including roles as a teacher, team leader, and equity advocate. She began her career here at Allison Elementary and most recently served as a 5th grade teacher and school leadership team member at Mohawk Trails Elementary. A recent EPPSP graduate from Butler University, Cheyenne is passionate about inclusive practices, building strong relationships, and fostering positive school climates. She is excited to join the North Central High School as dean, where she will focus on student support and school culture. Welcome. We've got a lot of future Panthers in the audience. Yay. And finally, it is my pleasure to introduce Brian Ramirez as assistant principal at North Central High School. Brian Ramirez has served Washington Township students for over a decade, becoming a science teacher and later taking on leadership roles as an assistant principal and athletic director. He has led MTSS implementation, supporting instructional coaching, and building strong connections with multilingual families. Recognized as a 2024 IASP District 7 Assistant Principal of the Year and recipient of the Mayor's Latino Heritage Education Award, Brian brings a deep commitment to equity, student success, and empowering North Central community. Welcome.
All right, welcome to all these administrators. And I don't know what is in the water in Washington Township, but our staff make beautiful children. My goodness. Moving on with the agenda tonight. Moving on to the action items. Our first action item will be the approval of our new 5-year school district strategic plan. Dr. Pettigrew and committee.
Board President Fry, board members, Dr. Taylor. Over the past 8 months, the district has engaged in an extensive and inclusive strategic process aimed at setting a bold and unified direction for the next 5 years. This plan represents the collective voices and aspirations of our students, families, staff, and community partners. To ensure a community-driven process, the district implemented a comprehensive feedback and data gathering timeline that included over 5,000 stakeholder surveys completed by families, staff, students, and community members, 10 focused stakeholder group discussions representing diverse perspectives across the district, 3 community listening tours held in various geographic regions of the district to hear directly from our families and constituents, numerous school site visits to observe daily experiences and gather on-the-ground insight, 80+ individual staff member meetings to hear from educators, support staff, and administrators, and a dedicated student advisory group to amplify student voices and priorities. This input was carefully reviewed, analyzed, and synthesized by a diverse 20-member steering team, which included nearly 50% parent representation, in partnership with our educational planning consultants, Education Elements. The steering team has played a critical role in interpreting the community's aspirations and shaping them into a coherent and inspiring plan for our district's future. Tonight, members of the steering team are here to present the final draft to the board and to the public. This milestone represents not just the culmination of months of planning, but the beginning of a new chapter of strategic execution, alignment, and progress. I now would like to invite Dr. Taylor to begin our presentation.
Yeah, so if you could advance slide. Thank you, Dr. Pettigrew. I wanted to just update the board on a few matters that I consider critical ingredients to the plan. And so before I get started in the nuts and bolts, I do want to again extend my appreciation to our project steering committee. That was a committee that is comprised of nearly 50% parents, either current parents or past parents of Panthers here in Washington Township. And so it was especially powerful to have that team together representing a diverse voice within the district. I'm hopeful that people who participated in all the different ways they could participate in providing feedback can identify some of their input in this plan. I'll start with the new mission. It is not our intent this evening to read this strategic plan verbatim to the public, but it is our intent to capture the big ahas relevant to the plan. And so to start, I want to draw your attention to the mission of the plan, which in the past, we have not updated our mission since 2009. And so if you recall that previous mission, which is on the board right over there behind Dr. Pettigrew, it spoke a lot to lifelong learning. And it was heard loud and clear from our alumni and from our stakeholders that we needed to raise the bar. And it wasn't enough on the north side of Indianapolis to just be a lifelong learner. We needed to prepare our students to be lifelong leaders. And so I think that is an important distinction that you'll see from our past mission to our current mission, is this idea or this emphasis, if you will, on cultivating student leadership. And so we will be having continued strategy around what that looks like throughout the district at all levels. And I do want to specify at all levels, cultivating leadership at all levels. Additionally, you'll notice a new vision. And to start with, that new vision speaks to every Panther every day. I will tell you that I heard from lots of stakeholders that we have such great pride in individual school identities, but there needed to be an emphasis on who we are as a collective. And so every Panther every day, to start with, represents that collective emphasis on the fact that no matter what school you attend in this district, no matter what level, no matter what you teach or what role you play in this district, we are all Panthers. And so this is not a vision that we want to build toward. This is a vision we want to see today. And that is very powerful research behind 3 different areas of connection, of challenge, and celebration. And so we know the research is powerful behind what it means for students and staff when they feel connected to their schools or to their organizations. We know that we have a significant pillar called Raising the Rigor for All. And raising the rigor, in short, is about how are we challenging our students? How are we raising the expectations of what's happening in our schools? And then celebration. We want to make sure we are deliberate about celebrating the small wins, the 1% victories, combined with the huge wins. And we want to make that a deliberate approach across our schools and across our efforts, highlighting not only staff, but also highlighting our students. And so you'll see some evidence of this later on. Our operations team, will speak a little bit to how we're going to do some brand enhancements so that this vision is visible in all of our schools, and that we as leaders are preaching it, we're making it personal, and we're making it a deliberate part of our strategic plan. And then also, I want to speak a little bit to our values. Our values were really important to us because we want to be able to say what a Panther is. How do we define a Panther? What is a Panther? So we talked a lot about what a portrait of a Panther is, and these were terms that were thrown out most often, but we felt like it was more important than just leaving these terms out there open-ended for multiple different interpretations. We felt like it was critical for us to define these terms so that we can teach to them, so that we can preach to them in our opportunities during our SEL lessons, during morning meetings, throughout the instructional day, in our handbooks, so that we're making them visible and we're making them part of our teaching points as well for our students and staff in our schools. And then finally, and probably most importantly, to me, is this notion of our tagline, which is "We Grow Panthers." It was very clear to me in the feedback that we had a community that desired to rally around their flagship high school. And if you paid attention to the data from last year's class, last year's graduating class, 30% of our students graduating last year started in our school district in kindergarten. And when I talked with some neighboring school districts, neighbors to the north, that percentage was closer to 50%. When we are in schools and we're talking to students, an example, I was reading to some Clearwater students, and I always like to ask them, hey, where are you going to high school? And it has been clear to me that a lot of students don't know. A lot of students are not familiar with what a Panther is, not familiar enough with North Central. And so we want to start cultivating that at an early age. There is only one choice for you in this district, And that's the best choice. And that's being a North Central Panther. And the sooner you know that, the better. I love that our schools have their individual collective spirit. It's great to be a Fox Hill Fox. Nobody's knocking the Fox Hill Fox. But that comes secondary to being a North Central Panther. And so we're making this our mission and summation as we grow Panthers. You're going to see that echoed in brand enhancements that we're going to talk about a little bit later on. And so with that, I'm happy to move forward and turn it over to Ms. Tracy Horth Kruger, who also participated on our steering committee, to talk a little bit more about our process.
Thank you, Dr. Taylor. And I just want to lead off by saying it was an absolute honor to participate in this process. It was exhausting. It was challenging. It really made us think hard. And for me personally, to be surrounded by such an amazing group of dedicated educators, administrators, parents, to listen to their ideas and to hear what they were concerned about, it was an honor. And I appreciated the opportunity and am delighted with the final product. A lot has already been talked about the process in terms of the number of stakeholders and the number of listening sessions and all of that. I just wanted to emphasize that Dr. Taylor touched on this. What was discussed in the room every single time was all from the information collected in those stakeholder opportunities, from those listening sessions, from the one-on-ones, from the surveys. And it really was, to me, a refreshing change in that there was not this attempt to steer it to how we've always done it, what it's always looked like, what is the path of least resistance. In the room were bold thinkers, people who were forward thinking and wanted to be accountable to the folks that had taken the time to participate in providing that information. That was at the front and center of every meeting. So from that information, pillars were developed, strategies were developed, outputs, outcomes, I forget the terminology we're using on that, were determined, and they're bold. It wasn't how do we improve by 5%. It's how do we make lifelong learners? It's how do we grow Panthers? It's how do we make every kid who comes in our school system to leave feeling empowered and focused on success. And so you can read about all the different steps that we took to get there. But I just, from my perspective and being the board liaison, cannot stress enough about the inclusiveness of the project, the times when there were very courageous conversations. People were really not holding back on their concerns and what they wanted to see based on the feedback that we got. And it was a very valuable experience. And I hope that everyone in the district understands how comprehensive of an approach this is, and it will take all of us to move this forward.
So now that we've established the mission and the foundation of connected leadership, I'd like to introduce the 4 pillars: rigorous learning for all, community and connection, effective communication, and organizational growth and development. These pillars will form a strong foundation that will support every learner in our district. In a moment, my colleagues will walk you through each pillar at a high level, explaining the specific strategies and actions that we will take. I want to emphasize that while we'll discuss each pillar separately, they are designed to work as an integrated system. One community, one school, one mission. You'll notice that student success appears in the intersection of every pillar. When these pillars work together, they create a powerful foundation that supports every Panther's growth and achievement. These 4 pillars emerge directly from the voices of our learning community, as stated previously. Through extensive stakeholder engagement, we heard students specifically express their need to feel heard, valued, and engaged as partners in the learning community. Parents emphasize the importance of consistent high expectations, real-world connections, and transparent communication about their child's progress. And teachers highlighted the critical role of data-driven instruction, celebration of all student growth, and building relationships that help students feel they belong. Our community also emphasized the need for stronger partnerships between schools, families, and the broader community. This feedback shaped all 4 pillars. By listening to our stakeholders, we believe that we've created a strategic plan that speaks to the authentic needs and aspirations of our community. At this time, you will hear from Mr. Tim Blom and Dr. Thorpe, who will provide a high-level overview of rigorous learning for all.
Good evening. I am so pleased to announce that we have established an MSDWT definition of rigor. The definition states that rigor is the commitment to high expectations for all students, paired with intellectually challenging, meaningful learning that fosters critical thinking, creativity, and real-world application. Rigorous instruction includes the support needed for every student to access and succeed in grade level and beyond content. Through this process, Washington Township students will build confidence, skills, and a mindset to navigate complex challenges and thrive as lifelong learners. By employing this definition throughout the school year and beyond, we will continue to set high expectations for our students. Additionally, we have implemented a comprehensive MTSS model that addresses the academic, behavioral, and emotional needs of all of our students. This model has been adopted by all schools, and it incorporates an early warning system that enables us to identify students at an early stage and provide timely interventions. We have also established MTSS teams comprising of a newly hired MTSS coordinator at the elementary level and an MTSS coach at the middle level. So we're excited about the work that we're doing.
As a district, we've done a lot of work over the past 12 months to move toward greater levels of alignment. The MTSS teams that Dr. Thorpe referenced are built the same across all elementary schools and across the 3 middle schools. These teams will be part of a robust training cycle, including their first full day of training tomorrow. An important piece of this is the inclusion of our school social workers and school counselors who are able to help ensure that we remain connected to the many partners we have across the Washington Township community. Finally, we know how critical it is to provide a range of academic opportunities for all of our students. So a priority within this pillar is increasing resources and opportunities in STEAM, science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics programming, and expanding access to our pre-K, DLI, CTE, and dual credit coursework.
Good evening. I was fortunate enough to work with the community and connection piece. And so we talk about, why do we involve the community? The community is part of the strategic plan for several reasons. First, it builds the shared ownership and the buy-in. We want all community stakeholders to be aware and feel that sense of ownership with We Grow Panthers. We also want to increase the support, reduce resistance, and promote commitment to our plan. Secondly, we wanted to ensure diverse perspectives. Different stakeholders brought different viewpoints, experience, needs, and ideas. This led to more well-rounded, inclusive, and realistic goals that reflect the actual needs of our community. Third, it improves communication and transparency. Involvement creates open lines of communication. It keeps the community informed about the goals, our challenges, our progress, and fosters that true sense of transparency. Additionally, it increases the relevance and effectiveness. Plans made in isolation may miss key issues. Engaging the community ensures that the strategic goals are aligned with the actual priorities and challenges that the MSDWT faces. Again, it encourages long-term support and stability. It strengthens the community and school relationships. The planning process serves as that platform to strengthen our partnerships between the school, local organizations, parents, and other stakeholders. Finally, our strategic plan is more likely to succeed when it's built with the people it impacts. Involving the school community leaders in smarter decisions, stronger commitment, and understanding of our schools will yield better results for all.
In the area of communication, we made a lot of improvements over the course of the last strategic plan, but there's still work to do. Based on the feedback, we recognize that our current communication practices still vary in format, frequency, and consistency across buildings and departments. This can make it hard and challenging to access important information And to address this, we'll be developing a comprehensive communication plan and process to promote clarity, consistency, and accessibility. This plan will guide both internal and external communications, establishing standards, methods, and defining cadence and reliable archiving across all stakeholder groups. By implementing this plan, we'll be able to address all the concerns and many of the requests in the feedback we received.
Our fourth and final pillar of our strategic plan, organizational growth and development, reflects our commitment to build a stronger, more unified district. By investing in growth, enhancing retention, aligning our priorities, and streamlining systems, we aim to foster a culture of engagement and leadership that empowers our students, staff, families to thrive together. Throughout this, we will continue with what you have heard from our previous colleagues by doing things such as implementing a portal to streamline information for employees. This will centralize the access to essential resources for them across all departments. We will also implement a systematic and responsive professional learning for all of our leadership, and that is by utilizing the NIET partnership. And we believe that will help provide required and self-directed PD pathways to align with all of our evaluations and all of our strategic plan ideas. And then also we will continue and enhance recognizing our staff and students, and by building a culture of appreciation through structured, consistent recognition. And last but not least, we will make a deliberate approach to cultivate students to staff pipelines where we will grow teachers and staff eternally. In closing, through this organizational growth and development, we are not just building better systems. We are building a stronger community. Together, we will create the conditions where every student, staff member, and family can lead, contribute, and succeed.
So now that you've heard about our 4 pillars, I'm excited to share our strategic plan goals, which reflect our commitment to transforming outcomes for every student in Washington Township. Through extensive community engagement that you've heard about so much this evening, we gathered input from staff, students, parents, and community members who called consistently for rigorous, ambitious goals. So starting with academics, we're setting our sights on moving iLearn proficiency from 26% to 70%. That's not just a number. It means that nearly 3/4 of our students will be demonstrating mastery of grade level standards. For our youngest learners, we're targeting 95% proficiency on iRead 3, building from our current 83.9%. And we're committed to ensuring that 95% of our students graduate, up from 90.4% with the class of 2024. Beyond test scores, we want every senior walking across that stage to have earned at least one honors seal, whether it's enrollment, employment, or enlistment. This ensures that they're not just graduating, but graduating with distinction and clear pathways forward. We're also focusing on the fundamentals that make learning possible. We want to see attendance climb from 94.3% to 97% and enrollment increase from 92% to 90% of township students choosing to stay within our district. When it comes to school culture, we're targeting 95% of students having fewer than 2 discipline incidents annually. We're very enthusiastic about the impact these goals will have on our families and our community's future. And now Mr. Rent and Mrs. Beard are going to share with you how the district strategic planning process will impact their respective schools.
Good evening.
So I share sentiments of Mrs. Horth Kruger and our experience with being a part of the district steering team and creating the district strategic plan. We were asked to talk about 3 areas and how that connects to our work at the school level. So in regards to leadership, again, I was really excited to be a part of the DSP creation. For me, it was an opportunity to re-engage and refine with our priorities. And for the leaders in our district, and for me, I feel like it provides direction of where we want to go next and outlines expectations for our school community. In terms of the school improvement process, we really rely on the district strategic plan in terms of creation for our school improvement plans at the school level, and in terms of follow-up and follow-through for the school's work. Of course, the school improvement plan is created using the district strategic plan's initiatives and actions that it's asking of us. And it's very important for connection and consistency across our district. So we rely heavily on that district strategic plan to create our school improvement plan. The pillars and goals of the district strategic plan provides kind of a guidebook for our school's work. And as the leader, I use the district strategic plan to focus my actions in terms of decision-making and helps me set my priorities and goals in order for our school community to continue to improve and be successful. When I think about the mission, vision, and tagline, specifically the mission, the tagline and vision, I think it's easy to remember and it's easy to apply when you think about every Panther every day, when you think about We Grow Panthers. For me, it means connectivity, and it means all students are graduating from North Central and we have a path where we want to end. So I appreciate very much being a part of it, and I very much appreciate the district strategic plan providing guidance to our schools.
It was a pleasure to be a part of this process as well as as a member of the steering committee. As a leader, this district strategic plan allows me to be bold. It gives me permission to make important decisions that some may deem risky. And it gives a sense of urgency that all leaders like to cascade through their organizations. Dr. Taylor calls these big, hairy, audacious goals, and we stand behind him and his vision for these very ambitious goals. The goals should wow you, but they should not scare you. And if you are scared, it's time to find somewhere else to go because we're going towards excellence, and we're not afraid of that. We're not trying to be the best in the conference, the county, or the state. We want to be the best in the world. And if you are along for that ride, and if that excites you, then Washington Township is the place to be. As a leader, this plan gives us a pathway to have connectedness and sense of belonging in our schools. You probably heard a little bit about the house system that we are unrolling this year, and this gives us a chance to grow Panthers in those 4 areas that Dr. Taylor talked about. And so that's going to be a really fun time and a fun evolution in our school, and we can't wait to get that going with our students next week. What this means to our school improvement plan, specifically the honor seal, 100% of our students crossing the stage with that distinction. It gives me the ability to lead our school in positioning ourselves for our students to attain the highest level of diploma and really challenging our students. Like Dr. Taylor said, that's what the community wants and that's what we want. We want to challenge our students, and that's an everyday endeavor. Number 3, the tagline, what that means to me, Grow Panthers, making North Central the flagship school. To much is given, much is required. And so we're telling our leadership team, if everybody's looking at North Central and everybody knows that that's the destination, we have a lot to be responsible for. And we embrace that attention and we embrace that responsibility. Tell our team, why not be the best? There were some questions about adding some ambitious goals and making those public. And we stand behind those, and we want to be the best, and that's what this plan does.
Good evening. As you've continued to hear about our district's vision to celebrate and connect every Panther every day, this work will guide us across all schools and departments. With the support of our professional partner, Brand Space, and local resident and graphic designer, we've taken a thoughtful and intentional approach to visually representing this vision through refreshed branding elements. Tonight, we're excited to share a new logo collection that complements and enhances our existing district and school logos. These new designed logos are not a complete replacement of our current logos, but rather additions that will be used across a variety of platforms to reinforce our shared identity and commitment to connection. Each new logo honors our current district brand standards and celebrates individual school mascots, creating unity without losing individuality. You'll soon begin to see the We Grow Panthers logo featured in practical, everyday places such as email signatures, business cards, and letterhead, serving as a daily reminder of our collective purpose. We are also enhancing our facilities by adding graphic installations at main exterior entrances. These graphics will proudly display the vision as students, staff, and families enter our buildings, creating a consistent, welcoming, and unified look across all K-12 schools. Installation will begin following approval and we anticipate full completion by mid-August, just in time for back-to-school events. Another exciting addition is the introduction of mobile light boxes for each school and district building. These will be displayed in reception or lobby areas and can be easily relocated for events like career fairs, community nights, or special programs. Each light box proudly incorporates the school's mascot, such as every Panther, every day, connected, challenged, and celebrated, every Gator, every day, connected, challenged, and celebrated, further strengthening our connection to school identity while aligning with the district-wide vision. This project has both been exciting and inspiring, and we can't wait to see it come to life across our campuses. I would also like to acknowledge Mr. Bowles and Mrs. Ellen Rogers, who also played an integral role in the development of this initiative. And at this time, I'd like to invite Mr. Bowles, he's our Assistant Director of Operations, to share a few additional insights.
I just want to take a moment one more time to highlight the new vision, every Panther, every day, connected, challenged, and celebrated, and the new tagline, We Grow Panthers. They represent all of us. From our youngest learners in the Early Learning Center to our elementary and middle school students dreaming to become North Central Panthers one day, to our current high school students and our dedicated staff and school board members, we are one unified Panther community. We are all growing, learning, and striving to be better every single day. This new unifying logo enhancement, branding, and message reflect and show that collective journey. We're proud to launch this new vision and excited to keep growing Panthers together. I now would like to invite Dr. Pettigrew back to close us out.
So I would ask that all of my colleagues that participated in this presentation to please come forward and stand together. One community, one school district, one mission. So when you think about next steps, upon approval of the plan, we intend to have a public-facing website, which will launch immediately to share the new plan and allow continued public access and transparency. Dr. Taylor will present elements of the plan to all staff at our kickoff on July 29th. Members of this strategic plan steering team will host a public webinar in August to walk through key components and next steps in implementation. And then Education Elements will remain a key partner as we transition into the implementation and progress monitoring phase of our plan. Their continued support will help us align resources, communicate our impact, and evaluate success with fidelity. To ensure that this strategic plan remains responsive to the evolving needs, we request board's approval to include authorizing the superintendent and/or designee to amend elements of the plan as necessary in response to unforeseen circumstances or new opportunities. Any such amendments will be documented and communicated with full transparency. Again, this plan is a direct result of deep community engagement and collaborative design. It provides clear, actionable priorities and measurable goals that align with our district's values and aspirations. It will guide all key decision-making, as stated by Mrs. Beard, resource allocation, and accountability efforts over the next 5 years. And as Mr. Rent shared, it represents a unified and bold vision. We want to ensure all kids are connected, challenged, and celebrated. So on behalf of this team, the Strategic Plan Steering Team, and all district leadership, we respectfully request approval of the final draft of the 5-year strategic plan.
Board, questions for our presenters? Mr. James?
So first, kudos. This is, reading through it, all I could think of is this is phenomenal. And I don't say that lightly. I've been a part of many strategic planning processes. I've led them. But what I like most about this one is that it is comprehensive. It includes the staff. It includes the community. We knew it would be about kids, but I just feel like we are going to be the best. Like, I read this and I'm proud of it, and we haven't even approved it yet. So thank you so much for your hard work. I know it was hard work, but I appreciate all of you. And I think I can speak for my colleagues in saying this, that they appreciate you as well.
I just like to comment on 2 things. I love the "We Grow Panthers" tagline because we truly grow Panthers, and that brings it all together. I also like the student leadership piece. Huge advocate of engaging our students to be civic-minded leaders in the future, and I think this is a great way to accomplish that. Thank you.
I'll just say thank you again, and way to go, Panthers.
Tie is me.
You were part of it.
Howard,
So
right?
I don't have any questions. I feel like I should because there's so much here, but you've done such an amazing job of distilling it that I don't have any questions. But I also want to echo, I'm very excited about this. There are many things I really like about it. But sitting here tonight, one of the things that's striking me the most is I feel it. I'm of a much older generation than the Gen Zs who everybody talks about with vibes nowadays, right? We're all about vibes, but there's something to that, right? And I love that this is real. This is data driven. It has definable goals. It has big, hairy, audacious goals. It's all very real and it's all very tangible. And yet it also, it's got vibes. I feel it. I feel it from all of you. I feel it in the room tonight. I feel it in our coordinated outfits. But I feel the connectedness and the community in this plan and in this room. And I'm really excited. Mr.
Just
Thompson?
had one more thing to say. For the community who's listening too, district leadership has kept us apprised throughout this entire process. So we may not have a lot of questions tonight, but the entire board was very connected throughout this process. So I think that's important for the community here because you don't have that many questions, but we have been very thoroughly communicated with throughout this process.
I'm sorry. Make one more comment. Because what you really struck me is asking students, where are you going to go to high school? My own personal history was very fragmented in K through 12. We moved. I was in different districts. It was a short stint in private school. I don't like to claim it. And having Mary now entering her senior year, from day one, she walked into her local districted school and up until the day she crosses that stage for graduation, there was never a question. We were Washington Township, no matter which school. It was seamless. I would say it was easy as a family. It was easy to just know, like, this is my district, and no matter what level, no matter what school, we're getting a great product. We're getting a consistent product. and I can just send her to school and know, we're good, we're good. So just, I really relate to that idea of, the whole township, one community, we grow Panthers. It's something I missed out on growing up, and that has been so meaningful to me as a parent. So thank you for that.
And something I'll convey to that point too, that's a data point that I missed out earlier, but will convey both to our staff next Tuesday, but we'll also convey to our community on the webinar is the data supports that 30% who started with us in kindergarten and walked across the stage last year have a combined 3.3 GPA on average. The rest of that subgroup is a 2.8 combined GPA. Credits different as well in terms of class ranking, et cetera. So the data supports, and we know from a population standpoint, transiency impacts all of us. It's just we're a very transient population nationwide. But anything that we can do early on to hook them into being a Panther is the data supports that's the way to go to raise achievement and for a child to have a great educational experience. And so we'll continue to uplift data points like that because I don't want people to think that we just made this stuff up. We have data that supports this plan. So to your point, I just wanted to make sure I lifted that up.
Any other questions? Do I hear a motion?
Move to approve the approval of the district strategic plan as presented by Dr. Pettigrew and team.
Any further discussion? Call for the vote. Having heard a motion and a second, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? It's approved. Thank you, everybody.
Team.
All right, well, moving on from that very exciting agenda item, we'll start moving through the rest here. Dr. Pettigrew will remain up here with us for a little bit. The next agenda item is the approval of a continuation of a service agreement with Advancing Public Schools. Dr. Pettigrew.
For President Fry, Dr. Taylor, members of the board, I'm here to request your approval to continue the partnership with Advancing Public Schools, LLC, for the purposes of crafting and submitting our Lilly Grant Phase 3 application. Additional considerations, given the competitive nature of this grant, every aspect of a written application requires careful attention to detail to maximize our chances of funding success. In the event no addendums are needed, Advancing Public Schools will not invoice Washington Township the $10,000 fee. The expanded scope of this grant requires following narrative guidelines that are similar to Phase 2, incorporating detailed project specifications and thorough research documentation, all within the same 15-page appendix limit. With the requirement for deeper analysis of individual project elements, Advancing Public Schools, LLC must complete more comprehensive research in a condensed period. The total financial impact will be $40,000 minimum, with potential cost up to $50,000 maximum based on any follow-up amendments needed during the August to December review period. The funding source is Lilly Phase 3 grant reimbursement upon successful award, operations fund if unsuccessful. At this time, I request your approval of the service agreement with Advancing Public Schools, LLC, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Board, any questions? Hearing no questions, do I hear a motion?
Move to approve the continuation for a service agreement with the Advancing Public Schools LLC for authoring WTS Phase 3 Lilly Grant application as presented by Dr. Pettigrew.
Second.
Any further discussion? I do just want to make one discussion point. I was so heartened when we approved the consent agenda today on those HR reports, those new positions for counselors in some of our schools, and those were the result of the Lilly Phase 2. And so one point in support of this is that, using that same organization who assisted us with crafting that, given the success and given that we got to act on some of that success already tonight, certainly makes a lot of sense to continue that. If there's no other discussion, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? It is approved. Thank you. And Dr. Pettigrew continuing with the approval of the new code of conduct.
Thank you, Board President Fry. Dr. Taylor, members of the board, I'm here to request your approval of the Student Code of Conduct for 25-26. We've made some adjustments to, number one, align with new state legislation. Number two, ensure accurate reporting. We've shifted some language in the Code of Conduct to emphasize positive expectations over compliance. These revisions will accomplish three critical goals. They'll improve our state reporting accuracy by eliminating subjective interpretation and guesswork. Our administrators will have clear, consistent guidance that ensures alignment across all schools. They'll strengthen our positive school climate by emphasizing growth and learning over punishment. And third, they'll provide our educators with the tools they need for consistent implementation, creating fairness and clarity throughout the district. At this time, I request your approval of the Code of Conduct, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Board, any questions? Yes,
Yeah.
Ms. Forsberger.
Thank you, Madam President. I do have a couple of questions. One is, based on the vote tonight, if it's approved, what are the plans to educate and inform people across the district, first of all, about the updates to the Code of Conduct, and then how is it communicated to families, since there is a significant section of that addressed to families?
Well, we do add the Code of Conduct in our student handbook, so it will be embedded in the 25-26 handbook. We will also send a communication through Parent Square for families. In terms of making sure we're aligned across the district, we will surface all of these adjustments with our principals and our assistant principals during their monthly support meetings. We also have, and we'll look at some of the new codes that have been adopted. For example, truancy in this legislation, you're not allowed to expel for truancy. That's a new code that we had to change in this Code of Conduct. So we'll make sure all of our building principals and APs understand that during their support meetings. We also have very standardized documents that we use, whether it's a 16A or an expulsion document, and we have oversight at the director level to ensure that we are implementing correctly.
Thank you.
Mhm.
The only other question I had was, so do they still have like planners, like student planners?
Some of our schools do have planners.
Because typically the handbook is in there, right?
There have been handbooks in the past. North Central had a planner with the handbook. I believe Northview's had a planner with the handbook, and we are trying to be more environmentally friendly. And so because it is a very lengthy document, we are trying to not print, but we will have printed copies for those that need it. So we will have some.
Thank you.
If there are no further questions, I'll hear a motion.
Madam President, I move that we approve the WTS Code of Conduct as presented by Dr. Pettigrew.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. And moving on, Dr. Pettigrew gets a little bit of a break. The next agenda item is approval of the 25-26 High Ability and Honors Handbook. Mr. Blanc.
Thank you, Dr. Taylor, President Fry, members of the board. I come to you this evening seeking approval of our 2025-2026 High Ability and Honors Program Handbook. This resource provides comprehensive guidance for Washington Township's gifted and talented services. It outlines our identification process, testing schedules, grade level service offerings, and the appeals procedures for both high ability and honors programs. Most of the changes from last year are minor, such as updated testing dates for the 25-26 school year. However, beginning this year, we will be streamlining the appeals process by moving away from a paper-based approach to an online appeals system. This enhancement will improve accessibility for families, expedite processing times, and provide better tracking capabilities for high ability administrators. The updated handbook ensures continued alignment with state requirements while supporting our commitment to serving students with exceptional academic potential. At this time, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Just a comment. I really appreciate the electronic appeals process. I'm like all about technology,
Absolutely.
electronic.
Maybe overdue, but we're there.
Any other questions? No more questions. Do I have a motion?
Move to approve the 25-26 High Ability and Honors Handbook as presented by Mr. Blanc.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, call for the vote. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you so much.
Next agenda item tonight is the approval of the 25-26 contract for the continuation of service of librarian services at Northview. Dr. Thorpe.
All right, good evening, Board President Fry, Superintendent Dr. Taylor, and members of the board. The Washington Township Teaching and Learning Department is requesting permission to continue the contract of Glenda Ritz for Media Center Librarian Services at Northview Middle School for the 2025-26 school year at $53,200. Mrs. Ritz maintains the library collection, work areas, prepares instructional lessons, focusing on student literacy, and provides reading tutoring for our students. At this time, I request your approval to approve Mrs. Ritz's continued services at Northview Middle School.
Board, any questions?
Yeah, I have a few. So do other schools, do we use like librarian services, or are they typically hired by the district?
Typically hired by the district.
Why do we do it this way with Northview?
I'm not sure who has the historical.
So this was an arrangement with Ms. Ritz, and I believe it has something to do with originally it was just to help us out a little bit in a pinch, and then it became a great thing for Northview to have her on board. And we just kept the contract as it because it wasn't an added expenditure to the district. And so this was shortly after Ms. Ritz concluded her superintendency for the state. So this was just an arrangement we worked out. It's been a value add to the district and continues to be. So we're proceeding as normally planned.
Thank you.
And Dr. Taylor, would it be accurate to say this is actually Dr. Ritz's preference is to do it this way rather than, be employed?
Right.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Any other questions? Do I have a motion?
I move that we approve the 2025-26 contract for the continuation of services for Glenda Ritz at Northview Middle School as presented by Dr. Thorpe.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, call for the vote. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
And the next item. Action item number 6 is the approval of a rainy day resolution regarding bad debt for unpaid meals. Mr. Bowles.
Good evening, Madam President, Dr. Taylor, members of the board. Mrs. Smith and I are here tonight to discuss the action item for the approval of rainy day resolution for bad debt and unpaid meals. However, prior to doing so, I wanted to provide some background information about the Community Eligibility Program, CEP, as well as an update. All of our elementary school and middle school students just completed the first year participating in CEP, which stands for Community Eligibility Provision. This is a meal service option for schools that allows us to provide meals at no cost to students. Instead of students paying for meals, the district is reimbursed using a formula based on our direct certification percentages, which is the number of students participating in programs such as SNAP, TANF, etc. Part of the agreement is to participating in CEP states that if the cost of serving meals is not covered completely by federal assistance received, the difference must be made and paid for from district's non-federal sources. The number of students that were directly certified at the high school level was significantly lower than the elementary and middle schools. So unfortunately, we were not able to commit to covering that additional cost required to include high school in the CEP this past year. High school meal service continues to operate as it always has in the past. The elementary and middle school students did participate, but the cost to serve meals was not completely covered by federal assistance received, which we anticipated to be the case when we agreed to participate in the program. Last year, in preparation to begin participating in CEP, we estimated that we would need somewhere between $325,000 to $350,000 of non-federal funds to cover the difference between our costs to serve the meals and what we would receive from federal reimbursement through CEP. In June 2024, the school board authorized up to $400,000 to cover those estimated costs for each of the next 4 years. The actual difference between our costs and federal reimbursement after our first year of participating in CEP was $326,792.69. I will now turn it over to Mrs. Smith to talk to us a little bit about how to proceed and next steps.
Good evening. legal requirements for any use of our rainy day fund requires the board's resolution. If you recall what Mr. Bowles was just talking about for the CEP coverage, the board did approve a 4-year resolution last year to get us through those 4 years of the 4-year program for CEP. Tonight, what I wanted to bring up to you is the other facet. We kind of did a double last year, and we're asking for a different approval for the rainy day resolution that's in your board docs to cover unpaid debt. CEP, like he indicated, is K through 8. At the high school level, we still have paid meals. So in this transition, we saw that our amounts were going up from families not paying for their meals. As if you recall in the past, we decided years ago not to do an alternative meal or anything like that. If a student comes up to the register and has a zero balance on their account, we still provide a meal for them. We allow their account to go negative and hope that their parents will then make it balanced. So within that, our child nutrition department sends out regular reminders, calls, and those type of things, reminding parents that they owe a negative balance. The law for a federal program consists that we cannot pay for negative meals out of the federal program, which is our Child Nutrition Food Service Fund. So this year, our balances have increased at the high school level. Last year, they were $33,900. And this year, our outstanding negative balance as of June 2025 was $56,769. So therefore, that is another reason why we are here this evening asking for the board's approval to be able to make those negative amounts just through the Child Nutrition Fund to reimburse the fund for these negative amounts by way of this rainy day resolution. And just looking at different opportunities, we have, we're working with Child Nutrition, we're talking to the superintendent, Dr. Taylor, and then also I'm sure that he'll be working with the board to see if there's other alternatives that we could do to help with that negative debt, along with more reach out. Other opportunities is turning them over more frequently to collections throughout the year instead of one time a year. So we already have those measures put in place for this school year to hopefully get the attention of those that have negative debt. Wanted to also add that these are not the free and reduced type families. They would still qualify. So these are paid families that aren't direct certified or anything like that. So that's why we think that we need to do some extra measures, but we do have funding, of course, available in our rainy day fund and are asking for board's approval this evening to be able to shore that up for our June 30th fiscal year and for our child nutrition fund. I'd be happy to answer any questions. I know that's a lot of information between the update with CEP and then the bad debt balance.
I think the CEP thing is great. I am concerned. I get what the balance and stuff, and I get all that, but I am concerned that if we pay, like if we agree to pay, then that sets a precedent. I get it. I just and so obviously we'll work collaboratively to figure out how to get and just to clarify, you did say these aren't the free and reduced students and things like that. It's not a matter of people like filling out the application if they need the help. It's just people who just don't pay.
Either have not filled out that application where then we would not know if they are, but yes.
So I wonder if there's some opportunity there too with like the social work team to. Yes. Thank you.
So I see that number and then I looked really quickly to see what I paid for school lunch. And as crazy as this sounds, you only need 60 students not to pay to hit that number. So hopefully we can get this turned around, because if that number goes up, it's going to be a crisis. But to think about that, we have how many students at North Central. And just based on my child getting one meal a day, you only need 60 students to hit that number.
And our child nutrition department has worked diligently on, you know, making those calls and sending out those notices and taking measures. But I agree. We need to try to think of some more opportunities to help with that.
Just one question. Can you please remind me, the actual, up to 400,000 CEP amount, what budget is that come?
That is from the rainy day resolution that the board approved for 4 years. So we get
Right.
to do that for 4 years, and that comes straight out of the rainy day fund. This unpaid debt is a separate resolution that you'll see in your board packet that we're asking for approval tonight. Both of them are from rainy day.
So I guess my question is this. So since we already approved up to 400,000 and we actually spent 326,792, I mean, it's really all still coming from the same pot, right? It's just for like sort of legal
Budgeting.
reasons. It has to be a separate
Mhm.
resolution, the bad debt piece of it.
Yes.
But the reality is we already did approve up to 400. We
Mhm.
only spent 326. And so even with approving this clearing of the bad debt, we're not necessarily sort of going
Over budget, exactly.
Not that it's ideal to have
Right.
that debt, but okay.
You
I
are
just wanted to
correct.
Clarify that.
Yes.
Okay. If there are no further questions, does anyone have a motion?
I move to approve the rainy day resolution, bad debt, unpaid meals as presented by Ms. Smith and Mr. Bowles.
Any other discussion? Hearing a motion and second, I will call for the vote. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? It is approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Action item number 7 tonight is the approval of an agreement with our employee assistance, for our employee assistance program as presented by, or welcome Mrs. Smith and Dr. Whitman.
Good evening again, Dr. Taylor, President Fry, members of the board. Mrs. Smith and I come to you tonight seeking approval of an agreement for the Employee Assistance Group to provide employee assistance services for Washington Township staff. In March of 2025, we were notified by our current employee assistance program provider that they would be substantially increasing their fees over the next contract year. Based upon that, we swiftly worked with partners at MJ Insurance Consultants to conduct an RFP process for these services. From the proposals received, 2 finalists were selected, and a joint group of Human Resources, Business Services, and WTEA representation reviewed the presentations from the 2 finalists. Employee Assistance Group was the unanimous selection of the committee. The cost of Employee Assistance Group is less than the proposed increase from our prior provider, and they will continue to provide the same level of services provided to our employees along with some additional enhancements. Specifically, they will provide 6 in-person counseling sessions free of charge for any employee or member of their household per calendar year. However, there are some additions in the matching services provided by our previous provider that Employee Assistance Group will also provide as enhancements, including Employee Assistance Group calculating their 6 sessions based on the life event rather than a total of 6 per year. So again, you would be able to use them for multiple events. There would be unlimited telephone counseling, caregiver support, adoption support, personal research assistance support, legal support, wellness coaching, Talkspace Go app, which is a great feature to provide mindfulness and relaxation exercises. There are negotiated discounts for staff that they provide, and one on-site trauma response per year. From January 1, 2025 to March 31, 2025, we've had 30 employees or covered family members access some form of the EAP services. So this is indeed a service that our employees and their families rely on for support. Details regarding our prior cost of services in this new agreement are present in your documents for this evening, as well as a complete copy of the agreement. The total cost of the agreement for 2025-26 is $39,135. This concludes my presentation, but I am happy to answer any questions along with Ms. Smith.
Clerk Krueger.
I just have one question, Madam President. So just for timing, I know it says in the agreement that, the new EAP, agreement will start August 1st. Is it safe to assume that the current one will then, it has not expired? Will it has expired? Okay, so no one will be without, has been without this.
That
Okay,
is correct.
that was all I just wondered.
And there is a transition plan in place for people who are currently receiving services. They have been contacted to be able to make that transition to the new program.
Thank you.
I just have one question, Dr. Whitman. I think I already know the answer, but is it safe to assume that you already have some fantastic communication strategies planned to make sure that employees not only know about the change, but all the new additional benefits?
Yes, we do. We have actually accumulated a lot of resources. Sorry, some of them are not electronic. Some of them are hard copy, and we will be making sure we share those beginning Friday with our new Teachers Academy. Thank you, Dr. Pettigrew, for hosting that. And next week with when teachers come back at Ignite, we will begin sharing resources.
I'm going to look into if my EAP and my employer includes personal research assistance support. That sounds really great. If there are no more questions, I'll hear a motion.
Move to approve the agreement with Employee Assistance Group to provide employee assistance program services presented by Dr. Whitman and Mrs. Smith.
Second.
Any further discussion? Having the motion and a second, call for the vote. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it, and it is approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 8 of our action items. Same folks keep the podium. Approval of retirement plan documents.
Ms. Smith and I are here tonight seeking your authority to execute the retirement plan documents with Empower Financial. These plan documents will be substantially similar in form, subject to final review by District Council. On April 10th of 2024, this board approved an agreement with MJ Financial Consultants to assist us in the evaluation of our retirement plan options. On November 13th, 2024, the board approved the recommendation of the District Retirement Committee to transition our retirement record-keeping services to Empower Financial. Since that time, we have worked weekly with Empower to prepare for a transition that will finalize in August of 2025. Empower was chosen for their ability to meet core objectives in the process, which were economic fees, fee transparency, administrative efficiency, and employee access via website and app. The master service agreement is the final step in board authorization of the transition from our prior providers to Empower Financial as record keeper for MSD WT retirement plans. Important recent upcoming dates in the process were provided to all staff via, sorry again, hard copy mail. They did get this in the mail. There will be a participant blackout notice that was received, which indicates the early open date that was on the 21st. That's the first step where participants can actually log into the new Empower system and make selections of what they want for their investment allocations, new enrollments, et cetera. And then there will be information meetings starting on the 29th. The early open close date of Friday, August 8th is the last day for our staff to make any changes to Empower before their first contribution. And their first payroll contribution to Empower will be August 15th. There is no financial impact to the district based on this transition. However, Washington Township employees will see substantially lower fees on their retirement account. And I must say, as a point of personal privilege, I would like to thank Ms. Smith, Joe Longenecker, and Shauna Red specifically, who spent countless hours going through years of data for a comprehensive census of all of our accounts and dollar amounts, hire dates. It was exhaustive work on their part. I just got to watch it, but I want to acknowledge how much work went into making sure the absolute most accurate information is solidified as this process moves forward. And with that, we will take any questions. Any really technical ones, go to her.
Seeing no questions, do I have a motion?
Move to approve the retirement plan documents with Empower Financial as presented by Dr. Whitman and Mrs. Smith.
Second.
Any further discussion? Having a motion and a second, I call for the vote. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And the motion passes. Thank you. Action item number 9 is the approval of an amendment to health services agreement.
Good evening, President Fry, Superintendent Taylor, members of the board. I come before you from a member of the Student Services Department seeking approval to amend our health services agreement between the MSD of Washington Township and Ascension St. Vincent. As you can see, we are looking to address 2 key areas in this amendment. Number 1, it's the clinical staffing, scheduling, and fees. But number 2, it's expanding the scope of work to include one-to-one school nurses where appropriate. When a student's needs are so significant that without a school nurse, they are unable to safely attend school, a one-to-one school nurse is written either into their IEP or an IHP, an individual health plan. Health services are related services. They cover services such as vents, trachs, severe epilepsy, children with G-tubes, children with traumatic brain injury, mobility, ADL needs. We cover catheters, toileting, and transfers. We have several students that are coming to the MSD of Washington Township who will need one-to-one care for the 25-26 school year. I come before you today asking to amend this contract. In the past, it has been based on the number of nurses that Ascension has sent us. I am asking to amend this contract to look more at hours. So when you currently look at the number of nurses we have in the district, we're averaging about 450 hours from Ascension, and that is covering every single building. We now have a full-time nurse. North Central has some extra part-times who are covering every single building, including the ELC, including True North. So those are expansions. I am seeking to increase that from 450 hours to 600 hours a week, taking into account the number of students that will need one-to-one services. You can see that I've provided you with estimated monthly fees for the RN manager, the RN staff, the part-time, and the LPN. When we think about the funds that are paying for this, number 1, of course, if we have technical questions, our amazing Ms. Smith is here. But these funds specifically for special education are paid for with our basic grant for special education, but also for Medicaid. So those students that are taking one-to-one nurses, we are able to bill that back to Medicaid. So we have been working with Medicaid and our provider to really kind of shore that up. So while it looks like a substantial increase, 450 hours to 600 hours, the amount to the district will be very marginal because we are billing back to Medicaid. So I'm here today seeking your approval to make that amendment. And if you have any questions, I'm here to answer.
I did just have a brief question.
Please.
Because I recall it was a lot. The team, when IU Health sort of on fairly short notice pulled out of doing school nursing last year. So, it was a scramble to get Ascension in place. So I'm just curious your feedback of how that transition has gone and how Ascension services have been compared to.
Yeah, I cannot speak highly enough of Ascension. Sandy Dykes acts as our liaison. She is our nurse manager. So she is absolutely wonderful. We have monthly meetings with Ascension leadership that I participate with. So we are always talking about our staffing, our needs. We do have some specialized training that is required. They have met every need, have been very, very responsive to us. And whenever we have been in a pinch, we needed someone to step in, we needed a sub, they have met every one of our demands. So they've been a great partner to us.
There are no other questions. Do I hear a motion?
Madam President, I move we approve the First Amendment to Health Services Agreement between MSD of Washington Township and Ascension St. Vincent as presented by Dr. Skibinski.
Second. Any further discussion? Hearing a motion second, call for the vote. All in favor, indicate by saying aye.
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 All opposed. The motion passes. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
And Dr. Skibinski stays with item, the approval of an agreement with service providers for OT and PT.
Yes, thank you once again for having me. Today I stand before you seeking just to renew the contract that we have for our occupational therapists and our physical therapists, as they are related services that deliver services to our students PK through 22, which also includes the 13 non-public educational entities that the MSD of Washington Township services. When we think about OT and related services under the Individuals with Disability Acts and Article 7, we are required to provide those related services such as occupational and physical therapy if the IEP team determines they are necessary for the student to benefit from special education. In the MSD of Washington Township, those services are assigned, these providers are assigned to each building. They often serve in more than one building, and we seek to renew their contracts for the 25-26 school year. You can see the projected cost for what that will run us. But again, the special education funding, the basic grant and Medicaid, because we can bill for Medicaid services. And we do work with our providers to do that billing on a quarterly basis. We are simply asking to continue those contracts with those contracted employees for the 25-26 school year. If there are any questions, I'm here to answer.
Just one really quick. So I heard you say that we there's like parochial schools, other schools that are in. How does that work?
Such a great question. So the MSD of Washington Township, when a student resides in our district and they have legal settlement in the MSD of Washington Township, but they choose a park tutor or one of the surrounding schools, we are required, now we put them on a plan. It's not really an IEP, it's a separate plan, but we are required to provide them services if it is deemed necessary. We have a very large non-public education team that actually goes out and services all of those students. We have our 13th school that just joined us, and I forget the name. It's a new gifted school that just moved right on over to Washington Township. But so we are required. So we have school psychologists. I will text you. We have school psychologists, SLPs, OTs, PTs, in which we are required to go out to those schools to provide those services. Now, naturally, those services are not at all what we would provide at a public education, because we are required to provide FAPE. But the students are required to those services, which requires us to take resources and plant them in our non-public education.
So we don't, just to clarify, we don't get like none of the voucher money that private school kids might know, right? Didn't think so. Thanks.
No, but in our legal settlement, we are required to serve.
Understand.
That is
Yep.
what we do.
By state statute.
So any other questions? That was a great question. Thank you for asking that.
There's no more questions. Do I hear a motion?
Move to approve the agreement with service providers OT and PT to provide related service for students with IEP PK 22 as presented by Dr. Chabinsky.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Call for the vote. All in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you for your support.
Thank you. Thank you for your work on this. Complicated. Mr. Boots, we've missed you.
Missed one meeting.
So our next agenda item is approval of capital construction project change orders. Mr. Boots.
Yes, thank you, Madam President and Dr. Taylor and board members. I am here this evening asking for approval of 4 change orders. Those change orders are change order number 002 to Star Environmental for the JEL Phase 5 and Washington Township Services Center Phase 6 project. Change order number 006 to Skillman Davis Joint Venture for the North Central Phase 3 project. Change order number 001 to Skillman Davis Joint Venture for North Central Phase 4 project. And finally, change order number 002 to Power Messer Joint Venture for the new Northview project. The total financial impact is a deduct of $555,070.60. And of course, those monies will be returned to the capital referendum fundings. Be happy to answer any questions.
Like saving money.
Yep.
Yes.
No questions, but you're always welcome when you give money back.
Always want to come back on a high note, I know.
If there are no further questions, do I hear a motion?
Move to approve the 2016-2020 capital construction project change orders as presented by Mr. Boots.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Call for the vote. All in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Boots. And moving into your next agenda item, approval of capital projects consulting agreement.
Thank you, Madam President. Yes, I'm asking for approval of a consulting agreement with Mr. Alfie Hernandez to fulfill the need for a construction coordination services for projects on the North Central High School campus, or what we call Central Campus. This is in lieu of replacing a full-time Washington Township employee that we lost for medical reasons. The information is provided to you in your board packet and includes the negotiated agreement with Mr. Hernandez and all supporting attachments that make up the consulting agreement. It is anticipated that the agreement for these services will extend from September 1, 2025 through August 31st of 2026. I will note that Mr. Hernandez has been part of the operations capital projects team almost since the beginning for more than 10 years. So he's very, very familiar, lives in the district. You know, he may not be a Panther but he's got a little bit of Panther blood in him, I think. But we had a need and Alfie was one of the first to step up. So I would be happy to answer any questions.
Ms. Proceeds.
So if I recall, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, the construction project on Central Campus was supposed to extend to 2027?
2026.
Is it 2026?
It's
Okay,
2026.
now this makes sense, because I was like, he's leaving a little early there, but if it's
Right. Oh, and I'm sorry, I failed to mention the total financial impact is $18,462 over the next 12 months.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Just quick question from me, but because we unfortunately did lose a full-time staff member, but who we don't need to replace anymore due to where we're at in the project, ultimately, we're actually saving money.
Yes,
All
we are
told, right?
saving money. Yes, that's true.
Here, if there are no more questions, I'll hear a motion.
Madam President, I move that we approve the capital projects consultant agreement with Alfie Hernandez as presented by Mr. Boots.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Boots. Penultimate action item of the evening, approval of student meal prices. Mrs. Gunn. Or I'm sorry, Mr. Mold.
It's okay.
Standing in for Mrs.
And standing in, correct. As Assistant Director of Operations, I do have the privilege of working with our Child Nutrition Department. Our Child Nutrition Supervisor is not able to be here tonight, so I am standing in for her on these next two items. So Madam President, Dr. Taylor, and members of the board, I'm here tonight to seek your approval of a proposed high school student meal prices for the 25-26 school year. As a reminder, any changes to student meal prices must be brought to the school board for approval. On July 11, 2025, the Department of Education and School Finance approved our exemption from the 25-26 paid lunch equity requirement. This exemption was granted based on a positive balance in our Child Nutrition Fund as of June 30, 2024. With this exemption, without the exemption, we would have been required to raise our average lunch prices above $4.01 to meet the PLE requirements. That said, while not mandatory, Child Nutrition is recommending a modest 25-cent increase to both breakfast and lunch prices. This adjustment helps us continue to move toward that PLE pricing benchmark while ensuring we can maintain high-quality meals with fresh fruits, vegetables, and nutritious entrees. So proposed prices for the 25-26 school year would be a paid breakfast at $2.25, an increase of 25 cents. Paid lunch at $3.25, an increase of 25 cents. And then our reduced price breakfast and lunch would remain at 30 cents for breakfast and 40 cents for lunch, which is no change. And that is USDA created, those prices are. And then if the child just wants milk, it would be 50 cents. We believe these adjustments are both reasonable and necessary to continue supporting a nutritious and sustainable meal program for our students. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Not to state the obvious, but just to clarify, the only parents actually paying this are high school level. Correct?
That's correct.
Right. There's no further questions. Is there a motion?
To approve the student meal prices for 2025-2026 school year as presented by Mr.
Second.
Any further discussion? Good moved and seconded. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion passes. Thank you. And our last action item of the evening, you get to wrap us up again, Mr. Bowles. Approval of the contract, of a contract renewal with Food to School Purchasing Cooperative.
Yeah, so I'm here again tonight for the board's approval for our child nutrition department to continue participating in the Food to School Cooperative for the 25-26 school year. And within that, utilizing the following approved contracts from the school cooperative, Food to School, which is the HPS with Gordon Food Service as our primary vendor, Commercial Foods as our secondary vendor, and Dairy Farms of America for milk and dairy products. Each of these contracts includes four one-year renewal options. Upon approval of the 25-26 school year, that would be our first, so we would have 3 remaining years of automatic approval or automatic renewal. The Food to School Cooperative is a group of child nutrition directors working together to procure goods and services. This collaboration enables participating districts to negotiate the most competitive prices with vendors and manufacturers. We respectfully request the board's approval to proceed with the participation and the contract utilization as outlined above. I'm happy to answer questions.
Seeing no questions, is there a motion?
Move to approve the contract renewals through annual participation with the Food to School Purchasing Cooperative as presented by Mr. Bowles.
Second.
Any further discussion? Having been moved and seconded, call for the vote. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Bowles. That concludes our action items for tonight. We do not have any information items tonight, so our last agenda item would be any board reports regarding special events or liaison reports. I will start with the presenter.
No, just summertime, so I have not participated in anything with the district.
Also, have a couple meetings set up Friday with some parents who are committed to seeing visual arts continuing in our schools, which they are, but have a lovely team of people who've dedicated an hour to that conversation. So that'll be fun.
Also summer, enjoying it, and just looking forward to back to school. For the record, though, the board has been at work. We had a special meeting last week, and have been getting updates from Dr. Taylor. So we have been enjoying our not entirely not working in the absence of fall.
I participated in School Board Partners, an organization as a cohort of cohort number 7, member of cohort 7. There was about 75 school board members from across the country. That culminated in a weekend long in Scottsdale, Arizona in July. It was 110 degrees, but got to collaborate with a lot of different school board members across the country, learn about school governance. And so that was a lot of fun and a great opportunity for me to learn more about my public role as a school board member. And then also I got the opportunity this afternoon to spend with Mr. Blom over at St. Luke's Church, Freedom School. It's a 6-week summer program, which consists of a lot of our Washington Township students. And they always pick a social justice cause. That social justice cause this year was public education. So myself, Mr. Blom, and Fady Kadora, state senator for District 30, were speakers for this group. It was a wonderful afternoon, and Dr. Taylor was there as well. So great way to start the school year.
I just started driving again last week. So I have been resting all summer, but excited for school to start so my grocery bill can decrease again.
That concludes the agenda for the evening. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Move to motion to adjourn.
No,
So moved.
We're adjourned. Thank you.